Okay, one of the few big stories we have on the streets today from the market very quickly is that the 14th OTC, over-the-counter FX futures contract of $488 million on the FMDQ OTC Securities Exchange will mature and settle today. We'll get the maturity in Naira figure later for you today from FMDQ. And of course, the central bank is expected, as always, to retire this particular $488 million contract and replace it with another dated instrument or contract on the trading platform of the FMDQ. We'll get all that for you. Well, you can see that on our scrolling bar, on the scroll bar. If you look at it, it's just scrolling there for you at every point in time. You need to put that on. Of course, another big story as we have is the corruption perception data just released by the National Bureau of Statistics. That's all over the Twitter, the social media, and now that can tell you how Nigerians perceive corruption, and that may tell you most likely we are not on the same page. I'm going to leave it there. Let's hang it in there. But of course, the high level of corruption or bribery happens in Nigeria's southwest and the northwest. That's how it goes. Just that. But what's the perception? Whether corrupt practices is declining over the past 2 years. Majority of folks in the northern part of the country surveyed by the MBS believe that corruption is decreasing, while majority of those in the southwest and the southeast believe that corruption is increasing. That's something you are able to get your hands on. If you need to get on Twitter right now and see all the data that is out there. It's something really steamy hot. But while we are discussing corruption in the markets, unemployment is still there. But is it part of the corruption issue here? Michael Adeleye, who is the management consultant, is live here in the studios. Good morning. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's start with that corruption issue. Do you think if you have high unemployment figure is what you call a feedstock for corruption?
I think it's one of the indices. If you look at it quite closely, if you have tens of thousands of people, especially our youth, unemployed in the economy, they're going to have to feed themselves on a daily basis, look after themselves, their family, their clothing, and so on and so forth. So they will have to go, like the words, the adage that goes that the devil feed on an idle hand, if I'm going to use that word. If they don't have anything to do, they will probably have to look for a way around to actually look for whatever they could lay their hands on to feed themselves. So it's actually a critical situation that we are at the moment. Because if you look at the last quarter of 2016, the unemployment rate was about 10.4%. At the moment, it's gone staggering. In
absolute figure, it's about north of 40 million.
Absolutely.
Nigerians. And that's scary. So I'm going to ask you the question. How did you think we got into this very foxhole, as it were?
Many factors. We look at unskilled economy, labor in the economy. We look at the dilapidating educational system we have in the economy. We're looking at a lot of foreign investors, companies exiting the economy because of lack of power supply, government policies, and so on and so forth. So when you put all this together, I mean, they're pushing out a lot of employed people into the employment market. So the number keeps increasing. Now, the government needs to focus deeply into this and see how to figure it out and sort it out.
If you look at how our economy is structured, the formal economy, what you call the blue collar or white collar, is much smaller. The informal economy, the artisans, the farmers, the vulcanizers, shoe menders, whatever, tailors, whatever, plumbers, stylers, whatever, furniture and fittings and what have you, seem to be in the large number. So, and once we have problems when there's unemployment in the formal sector, like the banks, for example, 20, 30 years ago, we had about 125 banks. Now you have about 24, 26 banks. They all go to the informal economy. Now it looks like the informal economy is beginning to feel the heat.
They will, because there's nothing cushioning that informal economy. Now, if we talk about the artisans, it's not just, a lot of people talk about, which I'm actually inclusive, talks about lack of power supply, electricity, to actually cushion them to actually be able to perform their daily responsibility. But besides that, we need to look critically into training. We don't have skilled people in that sector. Like, if you're talking about, I've said this over and over again, if you look at the construction, construction sector, where we have a larger number of people going into that sector. Critically, majority of the people that perform very valuable intrinsic value duties in there are not Nigerians. If you look at the tilers, for example, we don't have skilled tilers in this country, so they come from a neighboring country. If you look at the plumbers, I mean, we don't have skilled, trained, certified plumbers. Now, the ones that we have in here, when they finish with a building, in the next few months, you begin to have damages and so on and so forth in that new building. So we should look into training a lot of people in this economy. Now, I've said it, I mean, quite a few times in here, especially on this platform, the government needs to invest into that sector. Look at where our technical education system is going at the moment. It's all gone.
So we'll go back to education very quickly. The technical schools are technically gone.
They're virtually gone, yeah.
Then we have the ITF, the Industrial Training Fund, and what have you. Haven't the government tried?
There's one thing to set up
agencies.
There's another thing to ensure that you monitor and they carry out the reason and the purpose why they have been set up in the first place. Now, ITF has been, as long as I can remember, I mean, but I personally cannot say I know one or two or even 100 people who has benefited from being a skilled person through the ITF program. I haven't seen it. Now, when you have the ITF such an institution in place, they are supposed to be working in conjunction, not just with themselves, but with a large number of other private training companies. Look into the economy. What do we actually need in the economy? And begin to formulate, develop new courses, new training programs that will actually meet the demand of the economy. Now, we've been talking about the artisans not being trained properly, that we don't have skill in the economy. Why don't they focus more into that? Because majority, I've spoken to quite a few of them in the last few years, they focus more into management training and courses, okay, rather than the base of the economy, which is the artisan, the technical part of the informal sector, which is more important that they should be focusing on. Now, if they neglect that sector and focus on management training in the economy, who looks after the artisan, who is the base, the rock of every economy? Who looks after them?